everyone, this is Vio-là. In recent years, China had witnessed an obvious decline in our traditional strongholds in competitive sports: table tennis, short track, speed skating, diving. In 2026, our table tennis star Fan Zhendong officially announced his leaving from the national team and now plays for a club in Düsseldorf, Germany. Why did he leave? And what does his leaving reveal about the problems in China's competitive sports system? Our competitive sports have long operated under a whole nation system, which means the selection, training, and competition participation of athletes are entirely dependent on state management and state financial support. In other words, almost all the athletes who represent China in major international events are funded by taxpayers' money. This creates high expectations from the public, especially in sports where China is dominant like table tennis. The prevailing attitude is, you must win. Losing is not an option. At the 2008 Beijing Olympics, athlete Liu Xiang was subjected to severe online harassment after withdrawing due to injury. Before his withdrawal, his coach had even said, Liu Xiang has to be the Olympic champion. If a star athlete loses a match, it is seen as unforgivable by many Chinese, almost as if they had committed a crime. There is a shared consensus: losing means letting the country down. Under such immense pressure, competitive sports in China have become upbranding, where individual interests and personal preferences are deemed insignificant compared to collective honor. The income from commercial activities of national team athletes, such as endorsement fees, must first be handed over to team leaders. Prize money from competitions is subject to a direct 65% deduction, and often the amount of bonuses is also decided by the team's management. Athletes do not have the right to make decisions regarding their activities, training, or competition schedules, nor do they have channels to make suggestions or negotiations. The absence of such communication channels represents the decision-maker's attitude toward individual athletes as well. From the perspective of Chinese values, most people still believe that an athlete wins a gold medal or achieves a good ranking not because of personal talent or hard work, but because the state has invested substantial resources in nurturing them. The idea is that whoever the team trains and sends to compete can win. It completely ignores the importance of individual talent and effort. Moreover, most Chinese athletes do not take up a sport out of interest, but rather because they lack better career alternatives. Many are not come from rich families. In China, it is widely believed that an athlete's training and life are extremely hard and harmful to the body. If their parents have other options, they're reluctant to let their children commit to a lifelong career as an athlete. Indeed, being an athlete in China is not seen as a passionate endeavor, but rather a life of ascetic discipline. In this all-around pushy environment, athletes themselves gradually lose their subjective initiative. They simply follow the team's arranged training plan, specified to what to do each hour. For them, what matters more is not understanding their own bodies or designing training that suits their physical characteristics, but rather obeying and accepting being directed. This further reinforces the national team's control over its athletes. Yet, no one knows your own body better than you do, or what kind of training will truly improve your performances. I mean, this mechanism of national team issues others, athletes execute is no different from that of assembly line workers in a factory, right? From the perspective of funding, unlike many other countries, China's sports sector is still in an immature stage, lacking stable and diversified sources of capital. The funds injected into the sports field come from a very narrow channel, relying almost entirely on government financial support. Financial support from commercial activities remains relatively small and is entirely controlled by the national team. And there is almost no funding from private sector. When all funding comes from the government, the work of national team managers concerns more about policy directives than to individual athletes, sometimes not even about the sport itself. Given the national team's strong control over individual athletes, there is high demand on its internal operational management skill. It is similar to a large corporation. If managers want greater control over employees, their own knowledge, management skills, and professional competence must be superior to everyone else in the company. Otherwise, the organization would not be likely to function smoothly. However, Chinese managers have never been known for their operational skills. For example, in shopping mall management, many malls in Shenzhen are founded by Hong Kong shareholders and managed by Hong Kong teams. When a mall is on the verge of bankrupt, if a Hong Kong team takes over its operations, people know there is a good chance of revival. Given the overall chaos in operational management and the fact that athletes' voices cannot be heard, I wonder how the national team can ensure the development of each athlete and provide appropriate and sufficient support. As I said, as usual, this is another manifestation of Chinese characteristics in the realm of competitive sports. The Chinese way typically guarantees a relatively high baseline. For instance, none of China's 1.4 billion people need to worry about starvation, gun violence, or homelessness. But it also lowers the ceiling of people's lives and limits the possibilities and chances. This ceiling is often constrained not by practical limitations, but by the majority's long-term thought imprisonment. The disrespect for athletes' personal opinions is not written into any formal rule. Rather, it's like a collective collusion of every single person when dealing with athletes' issues. A talented athlete in China may find it very difficult to reach the limits of their career and may struggle to gain understanding for their personal struggles. But please remember, you always have the right to say no, just like Zhendong and Chen.